Hello, one and all. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And in this video, we will take a look at how Australia has come through for Ukraine. And as we all know, the United States has provided Ukraine with 31 M1A1 Abrams tanks. 31, is that it? Is that all you could really muster there, United States? Seems a bit low, but thankfully we have another country out there that is providing Abrams, and I am, of course, talking about Australia, the Aussies, down under, stepping up to the plate. And when United States could only find 31 tanks, the Aussies, well, they managed to find a whole lot more, and they are now ready to provide armor, firepower, and some quality tanks to Ukraine. And as you can imagine, Ukraine is itching to get a hold of these and put them to good use on the front line. And oh yeah, we got thunder on the inbound coming in to Ukraine. And Australia will provide Ukraine with 49 Abrams tanks, M1A1s, out of their old supply of 60, now that they are replacing their older tanks with newer M1A2s. And 49 tanks, that is no small number. And Ukraine needs this. They need proper tanks, Western tanks, because these tanks outperform the Russian ones uh, every day of the week, all over, in every metric imaginable. A Western tank, Leo, Challenger, Leclerc, Abrams, they all outperform the Russian tanks, and Ukraine needs this. They need a steady supply of Western armor, because that is how Ukraine can win over Russia and break the Russian army. And at the news of this mighty force soon to be deployed to Ukraine, I suppose a lot of Vatniks will laugh and point out the reality that the Abrams have faced in Ukraine. And that is that the Abrams have suffered some heavy losses. There has been critique of the Abrams from Ukrainian crews. And as the Pentagon has said themselves, that the Abrams had been withdrawn from frontline service, the Russian use of hunter-killer drones have made it too difficult to operate the tanks in the current battlefield, with muddy ground hindering maneuverability. And this is true. The Abrams does not compare to a Leopard 2 or any version of the Leopard 2, to be honest. The Leopard 2, all the variants deployed to Ukraine, have proven to be highly effective main battle tanks, operating far beyond the capabilities of the Abrams. So yes, all you Vatniks, you do have a point that the Abrams has proven itself to not be the most reliable tank out of all the Western aid that has been provided to Ukraine. But it is still a very good tank. It's not the best Western tank. Sorry, Americans watching this. It is what it is. But that's not the strength of the Abrams. Its strength is that it's a good tank. It's a perfectly good tank. But its main strength lies in numbers. And let's take a look at how many of these tanks that the United States have produced. Between 86 to 92, the United States built 5,000 M1A1 Abrams tanks. 5,000! That's an insane amount of tanks. Of good tanks, of capable tanks. And the United States, they have enough to spare. They have enough to throw around because they have so many of them. This is the real strength of the Abrams. It is a good tank that exists in huge numbers. Because take a look at this. US supplied 140 M1A1 Abrams tanks to Iraq between 2010 and 2012. And when the Iraqis started losing a lot of these Abrams when they were fought ISIS or ISIL, uh, what happened then? By 2014, the United States approved the sale of another 175 Abrams to Iraq. So these tanks exist in huge numbers, and the United States can provide these numbers to Ukraine. This is the strength, the true strength of the Abrams. This is the Sherman tank of the modern day. The Sherman wasn't the best tank of World War II. It was a good tank, a very capable tank, nothing wrong with it, but not the best tank. But it existed in massive numbers, huge numbers. I mean, the United States had enough Shermans to supply the European campaign as well as the Pacific campaign. They had enough Shermans to provide some to the British army and to the Russian army. And it was a good tank, and they had thousands of them. And that is what the Abrams is in this modern day and age. It's not the best tank, it is a good tank. And there's thousands of them. Thousands. So just imagine if Ukraine received 140 Abrams tanks, and when they started losing tanks on the battlefield, they received another 175. This is how the Abrams can break the Russian army, through numbers. Because take a look at this. As of October 17th, Russia has lost 9,000 tanks in this war with Ukraine. They are running out of tanks. They are bringing in T-62s. They are fielding T-55s because they're running out of tanks. They can't build enough new tanks to maintain the front line. They're emptying their reserves of tanks. They're running out of tanks. Imagine, just imagine, if the United States were to provide Ukraine with 50 more Abrams to accompany the 49 from Australia. Imagine if the United States gives Ukraine 100 Abrams, 150 like they gave to Iraq. This is how Ukraine can win over Russia, with the Abrams. And I have said it before in my videos. Yes, the Leopard 2 is a far better tank than the Abrams, but the Abrams is damn good enough. And crucially, they exist by the thousands, and the United States could provide a steady supply of new tanks year after year until Ukrainian armored regiments breaks and crushes the Russian army on the field of battle. So this is the great hope, that since Australia is providing more Abrams to Ukraine than the United States, this will put the United States to shame. Because it is the United States that needs to get their act together and provide Ukraine with all the Abrams that they need. There aren't enough Leopard 2s in Europe. There aren't. But the United States has thousands of Abrams. And Russia's lost 9,000 tanks already. And if Ukraine just got a massive armored boost with 100 Abrams, 200, 500 Abrams from the United States, this war will look a whole lot different by 2025. So good on you, Aussies. Show the way, lead the way. Make the United States realize what it has to do and give Ukraine those damn Abrams, because they are good enough. And more crucially, they exist in vast quantities. So keep doing what you're doing in Australia. lead the way, show the way. That's it. That's all I have for you this time around. And yeah, nah, no worries, mate.